start this. And
Got it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. And if you can check that and adjust it as necessary. Okay, so it's out of sight and it's out of mind. Yet it can cost you a lot of money and comfort. What is it? It's your filter and your furnace, something you never think about. Your space where you live can be very uncomfortable if your heating and cooling does not operate. One of the biggest reasons why heating and cooling systems don't operate is a clogged or dirty filter. According to an ASHRAE Journal article in October 2012, John Proctor states that the static pressure increase from a dirty filter not only reduces efficiency, but lowers the capacity. I've been in this business for over 40 years, so I can personally attest that clogged or dirty filters have been a problem forever. Heck, even in my own house, I gotta admit, even in my own house, I've done that myself. I've forgotten to change my filter a time or two, and so my equipment did not work. So have you ever heard the shoemaker story? Anyway, it's my intention today to demonstrate how to change a filter. According to the February 2006 Consumer Report article, How to Change a Filter, they state it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Well, I have 5 steps, but it's still quite easy. So let's start out with step 1. You could locate down here. The first thing you want to do is locate the filter. Obviously, you got to find it so you know where to change it. So you go to your heating equipment or air conditioning equipment in your house. You'll have the main unit, which is your furnace or air handling unit, and then you'll have ductwork. This is your supply ductwork because the air is going this way, and this is your return ductwork coming back here. The furnace is always in the return side of the system, okay? So right here we can see there's a cover here, and that's where our furnace our filter would be located. Now you got to be careful. On bigger systems, there could be 2 of these, one coming down this side and one coming down this side. So you would have 2 filters. So don't miss that if you see 2 ducts coming down and in. You'll have 2 filters. What's the next step? Well, we have to take out the old filter, right? All right, so typically there's a cover over the filter itself, as you can see here. Now this happens to be an easy one because we can just flip this up and it exposes the filter. Other covers you're going to have to take a couple screws out, okay, and take the cover off, or there might even be a door. Now the one thing I want to caution you about is remember how you took this cover off, because later on you have to put it back on, right? And so if you remember now how you took it off, it'll be easier later on how to put it back on. So taking out the old filter, then the next step is simply grabbing a hold of the filter and slowly lifting it up so that it comes out evenly. What you want to be careful of is that you don't jiggle the thing too much, because remember, this caught a lot of dirt. So therefore catching all the dirt, this thing's going to get clogged up and dirt could fall all over the place where you don't want it. Okay? So you got to be very careful about that as well. Now the next step is, obviously we have to put a clean new filter back in there. Well, we have to go buy one. Where do you buy one at? We'll go to your local Home Depot or Lowe's store or Ace Hardware, that type of thing, and buy the filter there. Okay? How do you know what filter to buy? Well, you buy the same one that you took out. All right? But first you got to know the measurements. So you can simply measure the width by the height, by the thickness, or in a lot of cases, the filter itself, find it right here, will have the dimensions right on it. Okay? So there's a couple different ways to get the size. The next thing you need to know is the MERV rating. As stated in allkindsofilters.com, MERV stands for Maximum Rated Efficiency Value. Now, the MERV rating for a residential filter needs to be between a 4 and a 7. Being a pleated filter like this, it's probably closer to a 7, which is really kind of the best 1-inch thick filter you can buy for residential application. So go ahead and buy a new filter. The next step in this is going to be inserting the filter back in, okay? Well, we simply just reverse our steps. But there's one very important part to this. These filters have to be installed a certain direction. So if you'll notice on here, there's an arrow. That's stating what direction the airflow needs to be in relation to this filter being inserted in here, or how the air moves across here. That arrow actually has to be facing towards the unit. Okay? In order to make this thing work properly, this arrow needs to be facing towards the unit. So that's the first thing you do, is get that arrow facing towards the unit. Next thing you want to do is simply align the filter to the opening and let it start sliding it in. Now you want to slide it in evenly because you could rack it and then it won't go in or you'll mess the cardboard frame up. So slide it up and down and evenly. It should go in fairly easily until it bottoms out. It's nice and level here, and so now you have the new filter installed. So the last step is quite easy. You simply got to replace the cover or close the cover from where we took the filter out. Now in this particular case, all we're doing is closing that cover up. You can see it closes it up so nothing else can get in there or air can't leak. Now if you refer back to step 2, that's why I said you need to remember this. If you have screws here, you have to put these back in properly, or if you had a door, you have to put that back on properly because a lot of times there's a safety switch associated with that door, and if you don't get it in right, the unit won't operate properly. And therefore you'll be spending $100 to call a service technician again, like you didn't want to do anyway. But anyway, most of the time it's going to be something like this. So, in conclusion, I've given you the 5 easy steps on how to change your filter. It's going to save you a lot of comfort and a lot of money as long as you can just remember to do it. So let me show how long? 704.